Network is much, much more than just this place where you go and mine for prospects. It is this ecosystem that fully supports your growth if built correctly. Everything in our messaging is about the other person. It's about the value we're going to add to them. It's about how we're going to support them. It has nothing to do with us. The best place to start is common ground. And common ground is the people you're already connected with. Pick your phone up, look on social media, book the meeting. Hey, let's catch up. Let's have coffee. I'd love to get to know you more. In that meeting, your job is to be the detective, right? You're going to put the effort into activating your network and building a network. You have to track it. You have to have a CRM, a customer relationship management system. You have to. It's non-negotiable. Give yourself 2 time blocks, one the beginning of your week for 4 hours, one the end of your week for 4 hours. How you stay top of mind is critical. Everyone you know is connected to someone you need.
All right. Yet another C2C, Coach to Coach Central episode where we have raw and honest business confessions, business conversations. Don't get scared by the word. And I try to get it real. My whole purpose of this podcast is get people real experience and showing them the ups and downs so that they go in with the eyes wide open. Well, and first I want to welcome the guest, Devin. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me. Been looking forward to the conversation.
Nice. All right. Well, let's start with the basics. We always start. Tell our listeners and people who watch it who you are, who you help with, today.
Yeah, so Devin Sizemore, I wrote the book Connection Expansion. I run ACES Connection Group. And so my whole world revolves around helping people strategically grow their networks so that they receive more inbound connections. And so I fall into the coaching world of business growth, business development, sales consulting, but really my specific lane is on connections and referrals. And yes, it's been an interesting journey to get here, but that's my superpower and focus today.
Nice. And I love this because I'm also, I'm all about connection. My signature method is a trust framework, which is using your network. So I'm super excited. To learn about your method. I truly believe that your network is your biggest asset you can build. What do you say about
100%.
that?
Yeah, it's that the good old fashioned saying, right? Your network is your net worth. It's so true. The caveat, what I would plant in the idea of the people listening or watching is oftentimes that's attached to revenue generating activities, right? So prospects and who's there. But as you scale companies, you need vendors, you need referral partners, you need to be on more podcasts, maybe you need stages, maybe you need events, you need other things. And so the network is much, much more than just this place where you go and mine for prospects. It is this ecosystem that fully supports your growth if built correctly.
Nice. And we'll get to that. But first, I love to ask the question of the origin story. Everyone has the origin story. Like, how did you end up here?
Yeah. So in college, I went to school for journalism and English. And so I love writing and I love storytelling. In college, I landed working at a marketing agency, which was a blessing because it allowed me to take this skill set for content creation and writing and transfer it into the marketing world. I also was blessed that I worked for a family owned company. And so I worked my way up the company. I did everything from web development to photography to video editing to social media management. Anything and everything in the website, SEO, social media world, I did because it was such a small company. I kind of had to. Right after college, I launched my own agency. And so, straight out of college, I think within 3 months, I launched a digital marketing agency. I bought some agencies and then sold all of that. But that moment when I launched that company is really the foundation that kind of planted the seed for today because I found myself in a competitive marketplace with cutthroat competition, not very collaborative competitors, like very scarcity mindset, not abundance. And I needed to find a different way to market myself and market my business inside of my marketplace. And so that started laying the foundation for what we call the connection expansion system today. from the marketing agency to now, I had a manufacturing company, a co-working space. I did a stint in HR. My wife and I launched and sold a cat cafe. I've done all sorts of business ventures. The consistent thing for that whole time has been doing some version of consulting. 7 years ago, that refocused to just connections, but I still do some generalist consulting as well. So lots of entrepreneurial ventures. I just love business, and I love helping others as well.
And what I realized over the years, and just recently I created this method, but before I was just doing this, only now I formalize it. I was using my network for getting new jobs when I needed new jobs, when I needed, when I needed client, when I started my own business, when I needed clients. I was using my network. I was just naturally good at building relationships, creating that huge network. Right now I think I took a mental exercise. I was like, so how many people I have in my network? And I think I have estimated that I have about 3,000 people that know me really good. And this is like really good. I can contact them today and they're like, yeah, of course I remember you. And that probably another few thousand that it will take them a while, but they still will remember me. So there are like, I don't know, definitely few more thousand of people. And I never did it intentionally. It's just because I'm extra extroverted and just because I'm so much people person. Like I crave connection, and whenever I connect, I connect very quickly and I make very deep connection. But I noticed you said when done right. So I want to grab that because it's not part of my framework. My framework is using the network because that's what I'm doing. But the part of building that network, like I've done it naturally. I never realized you actually need to do this. So tell us more. I'm so curious to learn. If people are more, less natural about it, if they want to be more intentional about it, what do they need to do?
Yeah, so it's such a good question because your story is what I find often is there are people who are innately good at connecting with people, building deep relationships fast, having strong networks that are engaged. And then there's a group of people where you probably are, but you don't know the path forward. And a lot of the teachings out there on how you network and how you take meetings and how you follow up, it's so sales focused that it limits the ability to actually build a network. And so inside the connection expansion system, we cover the whole journey. So what should your ask and focus be when meeting people? When you network, what questions should you ask? After a meeting, how should you follow up to schedule the actual meeting with the person, right? So after an event, how do you schedule the meeting? In that meeting, how do you conduct it? What questions do you ask? What should it feel and flow like? From that meeting, how do you follow up? And the key there is how do you add value, resources, solve challenges, provide connections, and then how do you nurture long term so that your network doesn't forget about you? Because in all of those stages, what I'll tell you, kind of the A and B path, right? The A path is you show up to a networking event, you're looking for prospects, you're trying to figure out how to sell to people, and that's your intent. So you show up to this room with 50, 60, 100 people, but you're looking for the three people who can buy your product. And then you're trying to give them your cards to buy from you, and it's a lot of pushing. The way we recommend is show up, ask good questions, meet everybody because everyone can add value to you, gather their contact information so that you can follow up, so that you can control the part you can control. And then the follow up message, I'm going to give you the script because this will show you the foundation for everything else. After an event, the follow up script is, hey, it was great meeting you at the chamber event yesterday or the social gathering. I enjoyed briefly learning about you and your company. I would love to schedule a time to learn more about you and your business so that I can better make connections for you. Here's a link to my calendar. I look forward to connecting with you. Everything in our messaging is about the other person. It's about the value we're going to add to them. It's about how we're going to support them. It has nothing to do with us. Yet in sales and marketing, it's the opposite, right? Everyone's promoting, talk about yourself, sell your features and benefits, talk about, ego driven things, your stats, how many companies have you worked with, how much revenue have you generated? I need case studies and stories. All those things may serve a purpose as you get into the selling cycle. But on the relationship building cycle, it's all about the other person and listening, because if you listen, you can then add value to them again through providing resources, solving challenges, making connections. So that's the very condensed version of how do you do this different.
And have some follow-up questions. But before that, in my method, I say, look, take a broader perspective. You don't have to focus on just the business network, right? When you just got, you're a corporate professional, but you want to get into coaching business, you need to find your first clients. Well, look at everybody and that means your ex-coworkers, like people you used to work with, parents of your kids' classmates, because you mingle, you meet for annual events or like regular events and stuff. And then who else? The courses, because coaches are lifetime learners. They love to learn, so they take courses all the time, like the coaching course or the marketing course, or whatever, even the business course. While you were at corporate, I'm sure you took, like I took my executive MBA, and I had a class of 77 MBA folks. But then there's the whole alumni community of London Business School. There are thousands of people, and if I contact them, although they don't know me personally, but we are connected through the business school. It's good to go to a networking event, to go to business event and meet people and whatnot, what you just described. But what I'm saying, you already have a huge network. Just you need to just look broader and look at people around you connected to you through various avenues: your kids, your neighbors, your house, your community, your church, your running club. Everyone has their own communities, and then just start talking to them. Just start talking and saying what you do, like the first step. And again, this is my framework, and my framework is just everybody that is 1 degree connection. Just start telling them, hey, I just got my coaching certification and now I help people. And then you say your I help statement, or your niche statement, and say, hey, do you know anyone who might benefit from this? And from 3,000, and that's my network, and in other people cases it could be 300, there must be at least 5 who would say, yeah, it's me, or I do know someone who could benefit. So you can definitely get your first 5.
Yeah. So one of our core principles is there's value in every relationship. And so this is the foundation to everything you just said. And what I tell people, especially those that are scared to start networking, or maybe it's new to you, right? You've been in a corporate position where you've been serving internally, or even seasoned coaches who have strong referral partners, but haven't had to go out and get their own business. So maybe they've had a lot of people referring them, and then they catch themselves in a season of like, oh, wait a second, I'm wrapping up these contracts. Now I have to go out. The best place to start is common ground. And common ground is the people you're already connected with. Pick your phone up, look on social media, or put yourself in comfortable situations surrounding your hobbies, your kids, your family, religion, things that you already like to do. But then you have to stop going, oh, well, this person's not a fit because, and you have to go back to the core principle, which is there's value in every relationship. Book the meeting. Hey, let's catch up. Let's have coffee. I'd love to get to know you more. In that meeting, your job is to be the detective, right? Or be the journalist. Ask them enough questions so you can figure out What does their spouse do? What does their family do? What did they do before? Who do they know? Who are they connected to? Who else do they know? What organizations are they part of? Because everyone you know is connected to someone you need. Everyone you know is connected to someone you need, but it's your job to do the work. And so back to kind of where you wrapped up, it only takes one. If you meet one person and you have a different conversation, and then from that meeting, you solve problems for them, you help make a few connections for them, what you're doing is training them to make connections for you. And so if you do one meeting properly, ask it questions and make connections, what will happen is if you make 3 to 5 connections for them, so helping them solve problems and accomplish things or find a new pest control company because that's what they needed, whatever the problem is, you're training them to make connections for you. And that's how you start to get your network activated and sending connections back your direction. So again, value in every relationship, start with common ground. It only takes one meeting. If you do it right, you can scale with what you already have. You don't need to start these crazy automation, LinkedIn outreach, marketing systems. Start with where you're at and get that done perfect. Then you can add fuel to the fire.
I think majority of people overcomplicate and they spend time, or if I'm being direct, they waste time learning that new software, that automation, sending those cold emails with 0.00 whatever percent response rate, where they already have that network, they already have those connections. That is real. I call my framework trust. And what I sell, you can use borrowed trust. What I use, the borrowed trust method, that means if you have connection with someone, you can borrow that trust that you have between you and that person. And even if that person doesn't need your service, they definitely can find someone who needs the service of yours, right, or the product of yours, and you can borrow the trust that that person has for you, to use it for that person. So I call it borrowed trust. All right. I want to jump into something, I love what you said, but then, do you have any specific advice or tools, for people to use for tracking? Because I think that's another part that people miss, the tracking and follow up. Do you have any practical tips, tactics, tools to give our listeners?
Yeah, so the first thing I want to echo is the quote that I teach everyone is everybody wants to buy, nobody wants to be sold. Everybody wants to buy, nobody wants to be sold. So 100% as a coach, like you don't need to be the best salesperson. You need to connect with people, make sure you understand their pain points, show them the bigger, better future, and then let them buy you and buy your process. So take the pressure off yourself, just meet people. Tracking, super critical. And this is where you will set yourself apart. Everything we've already talked about, your approach, my approach, doesn't matter. That will already make you way different because you're not going to be out there playing with the masses. But as you're doing this, if you're going to put the effort into activating your network and building a network, you have to track it so that you don't forget to follow up. You have to hold yourself accountable. And so you have to have a CRM, a customer relationship management system. You have to. It's non-negotiable. If you're going to build a business, start on day one. If you have one contact in there, perfect. Often I hear, especially in the coaching world, well, I'm not big enough for that yet. No. You're big enough for it before you start is when you should start. Because if you build it right from day one, you don't have to move CRMs later, rebuild it, which is a super pain the more contacts you have. The other side of that is some rules. Every time you book a meeting, you should assign a task to follow up from the meeting. Every time you book a meeting, assign a task. So whether that's a client meeting, a prospect meeting, a coffee meeting, you go to a networking event, any meeting that hits your calendar, you should have a task assigned to follow up. The other rule is every contact in your CRM, everyone that's not cold. So if you're shoving cold people in, this doesn't apply, but all your warm network, the people who know, like, and trust you, should have a task assigned. Meaning you're holding yourself accountable to send a check-in email, nurture them, send them a piece of content, call and leave a voicemail, shoot a text saying thinking about you, following up because you promised them you would do something. Every contact that's inside of this system should have a task assigned, because if you're going to put the time and energy in, again, to building the relationship, make sure you don't lose the relationship over time. So a couple tips there, but if you don't have a CRM, you need to invest in that on day one. There's plenty of free options. And the other advice I'll give you on the CRM side.
What are some of the options? And to me, honestly, you can start with the simple Google sheet. It's not ideal, it's not perfect, but you know you can even start with that. It's still better than nothing, right?
Yeah, track it somewhere at a minimum. HubSpot's a good free option. They're not great as you scale because it gets expensive. For coaches, I really like high level. High level CRM is great because you can build funnels, you could do simple websites inside of it. It's got a lot of functionality, social posting, things that you might want. We partner with Business Done Better for that. They're brilliant at that side. And that was going to be the other disclaimer I give is, there's things as you scale your business, you're going to want to outsource bookkeeping and your taxes. That's probably one. How you format your contracts, probably going to want to get that from someone who knows what they're doing in that space. CRM management, you will always make your money back if you bring in a partner because they'll help you use the tool properly. So instead of just putting contacts in and doing task management, they can look at your process and go like, oh, well, we can streamline how you follow up from an event by building a funnel where you just put their name and email in and it does the rest. Well, that buys you back time because as a coach, especially as you're scaling and you're trading time for dollars, right? That's the core coaching model. You got to protect your time. And so I would recommend, yes, you need a CRM, and high level is the one I would recommend. It's the one we use. A lot of our clients use it, but HubSpot's great. I don't care which one you use. As long as you have a contact in it and a task assigned, you'll be successful.
Well, I'm using Notion. I know maybe it's not sophisticated, but it works for me. At least I can set it up so um, you know there is a follow-up task. So whenever I contact someone, I set up right away a follow-up task, and it appears in my dashboard. So I think it satisfied your criteria. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I totally agree. Without follow-up, yeah, you're wasting your time. It's very rare that from the first interaction you're gonna get the result. It's from this continuous interaction where you send something. I want to just repeat what you said, Devin. Send them a podcast. You just listen, that's something that you discussed is going to be useful for them, or send them a reminder, or just send them how are you message. And they might not be ready today, or they might know someone who needs your services today, but then once you remind about yourself, they're like, oh, I actually just talked to someone who might be a good fit for leaders or Devin's services, and they're gonna send someone your way. One thing I want to touch upon that I think comes up, and it's still a question for me and for a lot of my clients, in terms of the time allocation. I don't know. I'm just curious for your clients. How much time, when they do the time budget, or when they do their planning, like, do they budget? How much time do they budget for networking and contacting and nurturing and all that stuff versus doing other stuff, especially if they're solopreneurs? I don't know with how many solopreneurs you work, because that's the problem that I notice for solopreneurs, being myself, is that time often is our most valuable resource, and we need to budget this resource very rigorously. So do you have any recommendation, especially as we starting out and we're building our network? Do you have any advice in that space?
Yeah, 100%. And it is a very real problem, especially in any business where your time has value attached to it, direct monetary value. And so coaching applies to that. What I would tell you is there's this teeter-totter in business, and I think it's a very good visual and something to keep in mind. As you start out, the teeter-totter is very heavily leaning towards sales because you have no one to work with. And so you have to go out, however you do it, and generate opportunities and get people onboarded and then serve them. What happens though is once you close a couple, you run to the other side of the teeter-totter, which is production, and you serve those clients. But as you're serving those clients, the sales side is starting to diminish because you're not focused on it. And what happens is you get to the end of your contract and you catch yourself in a moment where you have no revenue and now you have to scramble back to sales. And so there's the teeter-totter. So as you're building your business, you have to prop up both sides. And so this comes back to time management. You have to budget time to create new relationships or nurture those you have. Pick your path. You can do both or you can do either. It doesn't matter, but you have to be having new conversations. And so that's going to require some follow-up. You can use my whole system, all of our templates, emails, everything. It's all inside my community. It's all free. You can have all of it. That follow-up system can be implemented in 15 minutes a day. So if you just start your day and you just use the templates, you can do everything we've talked about and more in the first 15 minutes a day. That's time you should buffer because you want to move the needle forward. You want a time block after meetings and events to follow up. Otherwise, you're going to catch yourself 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks later following up because you're trying to catch up. So give yourself those little time blocks. The other thing I tell you about the time management is to start and end your week, whatever that means to you. If it's Monday to Friday, great. If you're working Wednesday to whatever, because you're taking different days off because you control your time, great. Give yourself 2 time blocks, one the beginning of your week for 4 hours, one the end of your week for 4 hours to catch up and clean up, which is great for admin work, which we all delay, right? So sending out contracts, sending invoices, following up, logging it, taking pictures of the receipts that we didn't take pictures of. And the other side of it is make sure that you're using those moments to at least move your network forward. And so every week, make sure you have at least one new meeting with someone so that you're continuing conversations. If you're short on revenue, increase that number. If you're starting to get a lot of clients, decrease it, but never is it zero because you're going to find yourself back on the teeter-totter. So make sure you're propping up both sides of that teeter-totter.
This is my primary block of the day. My primary block of the day is contacting people, reaching out, following up. It's just the first thing I do. So I do recommend, just like you said, I do recommend if you're starting out or if you're not at your full capacity, definitely put it up front. And, when you, as coaches, we have the ability to open up our schedules, right, to clients to book the calls. I open it up to the later part of the day. So, that gives me the opportunity to do what's important. And I think for every coach, consultant, solopreneur equals business owner. And we need to understand we're a business owner. Our primary goal is get clients, get sales. That's why this should be the first task of the day. So any other kind of key elements of your particular framework or your particular method you teach people that we didn't touch a point yet that you want to mention?
Yeah, definitely. Let me give some nuggets. So the whole goal of everything you've talked about, I've talked about, is you want to stay top of mind. And that's your goal, right? So just like you said, people forget. Real estate's a great example. I'll hear this all the time where a friend of mine who's a realtor is like, my friend used someone else. Okay, great. Well, were you top of mind? No, right? That's why they use someone else. And so that happens in coaching. If you're not top of mind, you're not going to get the referral. You're not going to get someone to raise their hand. How you stay top of mind is critical. And so this is where good social content helps because you're staying top of mind with your network. So if you're on podcasts, you can post those and share them. Great way to create content. If you're traveling, if you're speaking, if you're doing client work, share that on social. So social is a great visibility tool to show your network what you're up to. Often when we talk about the inbox, people default to newsletters. Unfortunately, newsletters are bulk touches, and a lot of people disregard them now. They don't open them, they don't engage with them. Even if you write the best newsletter that's high value packed, that has the right subject line. So my tip here is we send nurture emails. Yes, we do newsletters too. Yes, we provide education, but we send nurture emails. the nurture email. And as we've been on, I received 8 replies. So I like to do real-time metrics. So 8 people have replied to the nurture emails from today. Those emails say, checking in, how are you doing? Hey, Bob, I hope you're doing well and having a great day. It's been a while since we last connected. Anything new and exciting in your world? Any new challenges? Please let me know what connections I can make for you. I look forward to hearing back from you. So today, 8 people have replied to that check-in email that my team is sending out now, because we do this at volume. And as those emails come back, it gives me permission to engage in conversation. Now, we sent way more than 8 of those out today. We probably sent 25 to 30. The ones who didn't, at least I'm in their inbox in a direct way, a one-to-one way, and a value-focused way. So it continues to plant that seed. So that would be my tip on being in people's inbox. The last tip I'll give you is a conversation on AI. And I think that AI is a very interesting tool in relationship building. Because when I say solve problems, provide resources, make connections, people often get stuck. Well, who do I connect them with? What resources do I provide? Well, listen to the conversation. If they say, hey, I'm struggling with blank, or I'm really interested in this thing, hobby, interest, or I've taken, I'm starting to make sourdough starter and cook bread at home, whatever the thing that they talk about, right? You can go to
I'm into
ChatGPT or
fermenting. I'm into fermenting.
do it.
So
So if you say that, what I could do is go to GPT and say, hey, could you share some podcasts with me on fermenting that are top listened to? It'll generate a few. And I could say, hey, Lydia, it was so great chatting with you today. I found these couple podcasts on fermenting. I thought these might be interesting. I was thinking of you. Now, it seems
cool.
like I went and did a bunch of research and was paying attention. No, I just gamified the system to solve a problem and
Yeah.
align with you. So use the tools that are available to make you look like you're building deeper relationships. There's some tips for you guys.
No, I love it. I love it. And that's what I say when you send. That's why I'm against all these automated messages to people, the cold, outreach. You get, LinkedIn or even cold emails where you can, create this automated templatized emails. I don't think people. I think we became immune to those, right? Because they sound the same, they read the same, and we just at minimum delete or just block the person, unsubscribe or complain or block the person. So I think if you can spend, you send not 100, you send 10, but those are real, and you use AI to create this personalized, advice about fermenting or podcasting or whatever that person's interest is. You just read the person said, they travel in to Portugal, and you can reply, well, I lived in Portugal for 5 years, so I can reply, hey, you're going to Portugal, you must go to this place. I don't have to use AI, but whatever, you can go and research, and you can it takes you 3 minutes, but the chances you get in response are getting from 0.3% to like 80%, right? It's like exponentially higher. I mean, why? And I think it's more about like making the internet a better place where you just don't send this blank thing, but you send something meaningful and you make meaningful connection. I And again, I echo, you can use AI to help you create content, create that reply. But people, please be human, because we need that human connection. And not only you'll have a better chance of reply, but you just make the whole experience better for everyone, and more excited and more fun. All right, tell our listeners, people who watch this, how they can find you. And you said you have a lot of stuff that people can use for them online.
Yeah, so you can get a copy of my book, Connection Expansion, on Amazon in all formats, and there's an audiobook. It goes deep into our system. I share everything in the book. I run ACES Connection Group, which is a school community. It's free. You can go to devinsizemore.com, DEVIN size then more.com. You can click ACES at the top. It'll take you there and share more information. There's a ton of templates, resources, and everything. I always want to add value first. So lean in. Anything you're interested, I promise there's already content on. And I'm happy to give that to you to empower you to either jump out of corporate or scale your business, because the more people that you're positively impacting, I think it's better for all of us.
Yeah, 100%. Well, thank you. The links will be down below for folks who are watching it on YouTube or on my website. Thank you so much. I'm going to go and check those out. I'm always hunting for more because I think, we share resources, and yeah, I love what you're saying. Thank you so much, Devin. It was a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.